My name is Michael, and I've always been proud of the life I built. I spent over 40 years working as a contractor, pouring my energy into my business, my home, and most importantly, my family. I taught my children that hard work, honesty, and respect were the cornerstones of life, and I believed that when the time came, they would carry those lessons forward. I was wrong, or at least I was about to find out just how wrong I had been. It all started on a quiet Tuesday morning. I was in my garage, sanding a piece of antique furniture I had found at a local auction when my phone buzzed. It was a text from my daughter, Lisa. I smiled, expecting a cheerful hello. Instead, the words on the screen made my hands freeze mid-sanding. Dad, Mark wants to see you today. It's urgent. Mark, Lisa's husband, had always been difficult, but this time the urgency felt different. There was an edge in the text that made my stomach churn. I called Lisa immediately. Is everything okay? I asked. She hesitated. I think you need to see him, Dad. Please, it's about the house. I didn't like the sound of that. Our family home, my home had always been a place of stability, a place I poured everything into. The thought of losing it to someone I trusted, someone I had treated like a son, made my chest tighten. I drove over, my mind racing. When I arrived, Mark was waiting in the driveway, leaning casually against his car, but there was a coldness in his eyes I had never seen before. Lisa stood beside him, silent, looking down at her shoes. Michael, Mark said, voice deceptively calm, we need to talk inside. I followed them, sensing immediately that this wasn't just a conversation, it was a confrontation. We sat at the kitchen table, the sunlight filtering through the blinds, casting stripes across the polished surface. Mark folded his arms and looked at me squarely. Dad, he began, Lisa and I have been discussing the future, and we've decided it's time you move out of the house. I blinked. Excuse me? You heard me, he said, leaning back. We want to start our family without complications. It's time you leave? We've already made arrangements. We're giving you a month to move. For a moment, I couldn't speak. All the years of sweat, late nights, and weekends spent fixing this house flashed before my eyes. Every beam, every nail, every corner of this home bore my fingerprints. And now, he was trying to push me out like I was a stranger in my own life. Mark? I said, voice steady despite the anger simmering beneath. This is my home. I built it, I paid for it, and I've lived here all these years. You can't just decide I'm no longer welcome. He smirked. Legalities aside, Michael, this is about family dynamics. Lisa and I want space. You're in the way. I felt a surge of fury. In the way? I raised your wife, I've supported this family, I've done everything for you. And now, because you want convenience, you think you can just erase my presence? Lisa looked up at me, tears in her eyes. Dad, I didn't want it to come to this. But Mark, he insists. I shook my head. I didn't raise my daughter to be bullied by the man she married. If you think this house is yours to push me out of, you've underestimated me. Mark's smirk faltered just slightly. And what are you going to do about it? I smiled, a slow, controlled smile. I have a welcome surprise waiting. He frowned, clearly not understanding what I meant. I stood, walked to the counter, and picked up my phone. You see, Mark, I've been preparing for moments like this. I anticipated this kind of audacity. Mark's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? I dialed a number I had memorized long ago, a number I hadn't needed to call for years, but now it was time. Hello, Tom? It's Michael. Yes, I need immediate assistance at my property. Can you come over? Bring everything necessary. Mark shifted uneasily. Who's Tom? You'll see, I replied. Lisa's eyes widened in recognition. Tom was a family friend, a retired lawyer, and someone who had helped me with various property issues in the past. I didn't need to explain further. He would handle the next steps. Within 20 minutes, there was a knock at the door. Tom arrived, briefcase in hand, eyes sharp, exuding authority. I gestured toward Mark. Everything he needs to know is in your hands now, Tom. Mark's face drained of color. What are you doing? Tom opened his briefcase, pulling out documents, a prearranged notice, and official paperwork I had prepared months ago just in case. Mr. Roberts, Tom said calmly, I understand you intend to evict Michael Roberts from his own home. Legally, I'm afraid that's not possible without a court order. And even with one, there are protections for the primary homeowner. Mark stammered, trying to regain composure. I didn't know. I'm sure you didn't, I said, my tone cold but controlled. That's why I prepared. You see, I've already ensured that my ownership and rights to this property are fully documented. Any attempt to force me out without my consent would be both illegal and disastrous for you. Lisa stood, tears streaming down her face. Dad, I didn't think he'd actually... I smiled gently at her. It's okay, Lisa, you didn't know. But he needed to understand that respect isn't optional, even in your own family. Mark looked at the documents, then back at me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. You planned this? I always prepare, I said simply. Years of working on construction taught me that the foundation matters. If you ignore the base, the whole structure collapses. You tried to remove me from the foundation of my own family. And now you see what happens when the base is solid. Tom stepped forward, placing the paperwork in front of Mark. Mr. Daniels, you need to understand the consequences of any unlawful eviction attempts. There are penalties, legal fees, and potential personal liability. It's in everyone's best interest to resolve this respectfully. Mark sank into a chair, the fight leaving him. He was trapped, not by force, but by the foresight and preparation I had taken months earlier. I turned to Lisa, putting a reassuring hand on her shoulder. See? Sometimes being prepared is the only way to protect what matters. That night, Mark didn't apologize, not verbally. But the tension in the house shifted. I had drawn a line not out of malice, but out of necessity. I had reminded my family, and especially Mark, that respect and boundaries are not optional. Over the next few weeks, I noticed subtle changes. Mark began involving me in decisions again, no longer dismissing my opinions or my presence. Lisa thanked me quietly one evening, her gratitude evident in her eyes. Dad, I know that could have gone so differently. Thank you for standing up, not just for yourself, but for all of us. I nodded. Sometimes love isn't just about giving, it's about protecting, standing firm, and teaching lessons that last a lifetime. The house remained my home, my sanctuary, and a place where my family could grow without fear of overreach or disrespect. And Mark, whether he liked it or not, had learned a lesson that couldn't be erased by arrogance or entitlement. Years of experience taught me that preparation, foresight, and a little courage can turn even the most desperate threats into moments of triumph. That day, I didn't just save my home, I reminded my family of the principles that built it, the values that made us strong, and the boundaries that ensure love isn't mistaken for weakness. And as I sit in that same living room now, listening to Lisa laugh with her husband, I know that the welcome surprise I had prepared that day didn't just protect the house, it preserved a family.